Yeah. Hey, everybody. My name is E-Double. Their name is PJ Harvey. Let's go. Mama told me. Yeah. Black Paisley. Mama told me. Yeah. Come on. Mama told me. One day I'ma grow up big and I'ma be a king. And my papa told me it's okay to say what shit hurts. Don't forget your dreams, cause they'll get you through this. So-called life.
Just like that, it's another weekend upon us. Maybe the biggest weekend of our lives, David.
Yeah.
Your mysticism will be
I didn't want to say anything because I might
because
jinx it.
because it was a joke when you said it. Can you admit that?
It's,
You were not
like
serious.
30% joke. I honestly did not think that the Bengals would be back. I thought they would take a step back, which I mean, technically, if they lose this weekend, that is a step back from where they were last year. But I would have been happy with like the playoffs and one win. I totally thought they were going to lose last weekend to the Bills. After the game, I said that to the people I was watching with. They were like, "What? Like you were so confident?" I'm like, "No, I thought they were going to lose." But I did hit Gary, my first parlay,
9-leg parlay for $82,000.
4-way parlay. And it makes me like parlays are fun because you can bet like a couple bucks and win a lot. But then also, obviously, if one thing doesn't hit, I don't know. I'm not a degenerate yet.
Well, that's good.
You can write all your gambling tax losses off on your taxes, right?
After a certain amount, right?
Well, right now I'm up, so
Yeah, but like you can't write $100 loss off.
we would have when I used to work at a gas station, people would save their scratch off tickets and write them off on their taxes that they lost on.
Huh.
I'm like, yeah, you keeping all those as receipts for what at least 7 years, right? That's how long you have to keep them for auditing. Yeah, but that also shows you how much people would come in and buy scratch offs and play in hundreds and thousands of dollars a week. So anyway, yeah, big weekend this weekend. The NFL AFC, NFC championship games. I think that at least, I mean, obviously being in Cincinnati, there's a lot of talk about it, but I think even from a national standpoint, no one is talking about the Eagles and 49ers game, and I think that might end up being the better game.
It's a rematch between Brock Purdy, who was Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
David, you want to tell people that don't know who Mr. Irrelevant is what that title
The last
entails?
Player drafted in the NFL draft each year.
And he's starting in the NFC Championship game and
in his first year.
In his first year, and people love him.
He's a guy that he kind of dropped. He was, I don't know, people don't listen to us for college football insights, but he was, I think, initially like a guy who was more well thought of before his senior year. And he went to Iowa State. They did not have a good season his last year. I think he might have been injured, if I remember correctly. But being coached under Matt Campbell, who he's like, Matt Campbell's always on the like next up of like, they thought like Matt Campbell would be like if before Ryan Day, like if Urban Meyer would have left Ohio State, like Matt Campbell would have got the Ohio State job. I'm like, he sucks. To be quite frank, he sucks. I mean, also it's Iowa State. Like it's hard to consistently win at a place like that. Like
I mean,
football,
you're a Cyclone, so
yeah. I mean, you got like in most of Nebraska and parts of Iowa, I think they don't even have 12 on or 11 on 11 football. They play 7 on 7 because they got all the on the farms that they don't have enough players to
all the linemen are putting up hay.
They'll have like 12 people on their team and wherever Kearney, Nebraska. So anyway, this is the Beers and Beards podcast.
It is.
We are live.
It is
around the world.
We're like Michael Scott. We're so excited that YouTube invited us to put our podcast on there.
Yeah.
They will probably cover everything that we do from now on.
Yeah, we are sponsored.
But yes,
by
we're
YouTube.
putting the video up on YouTube. Actually, we're streaming live. You're what?
My head looks crooked. Is it my head or my hat?
Who's
I
to
also
say?
always forget that everything's backwards. So I was like, why am I anyway?
Yeah. It's been a fun week. I got a correction to make here.
Uh oh.
On our part. I got this text.
This is our second ever, I think, right? Retraction or correction.
It says it is illegal, both state and federally, to distill spirits. You can make wine and beer for personal consumption up to 300 gallons per person in the household, but any distillation equipment and the distiller has to be licensed. So we were talking about distilling our own.
Yeah. We were talking hypothetically if we were to get a license.
We're not going to get a license. I would love being in law enforcement and knowing the priorities and things that are going on. I would love for somebody to be like, "Oh, they're going to charge you for that." I'd be like, "In this economy,
Yeah.
in
Well,
this culture,
now I
you
gotta
give
look
a
it up
fuck about me." Yeah.
because I saw a thing Ohio legalizing. No, not weed. Uh,
Have you studied or have you seen Kentucky's new medical marijuana
no.
situation? All right.
That
So,
proposed law legalizes home distilling, but there's a catch. This was January 19th.
what's the catch?
I don't know. 200 gallons without a permit.
All right, here we go. East Side Distillery coming to you, right in conjunction with Tiny House Brewing. Some
Yeah.
straight corn mash liquor. God, you have how awful it would be. That first run of the first time you distill some of that first run, how awful it would taste.
Oh, you'd only do 200 if you have two or more people in your house.
So you get 100 gallons each.
100. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Bill, I've been drinking this liquor with breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's crazy. Kentucky's medical marijuana law. It's not even a law. It was an executive order. So let's see if I get this right. A doctor here in Kentucky can prescribe you medical marijuana.
Okay.
The only state right now that will accept our prescriptions is Illinois.
See if they.
Fe- Federally, it is still illegal to transport it across state lines, right?
Yeah.
So Illinois is like, yeah, we'll take it. So if you're in Western Kentucky, like if you're Paducah, you're not very far at all from
You're
Illinois.
good.
But
You're
you can have on your, and there's a list of things that were valid prescriptions.
His rickets, one of them.
Cancer. So, but there's a couple.
I got bronchitis.
They're very vague. Was chronic pain
Yeah, that's what most people.
and PTSD.
Yeah.
So, but the amount is what got me.
What's
So you
the
can
amount you
legally 8 ounces at a time.
get? That's a lot.
That's a sack of weed, bro. That's
Wait,
a
what?
sack of weed.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
8 ounces.
See, as you can tell, I'm not.
8
How
ounces is a
many?
lot of weed.
How many weed marijuana cigarettes is that?
That's a carton at least. That's a lot of weed.
Yeah,
You gotta
8
think.
ounces is a lot, right?
And wheat, yeah, it's dry.
Yeah.
You think about that. It takes a lot to get weight
Right.
on a dried.
Not
Anyway,
people buy like a eighth or whatever, right? You can
yeah,
split it up. I don't.
you sound like you're in the
Allegedly.
culture.
I just have heard the terms.
I listen to rap music, so I know. Yeah, so it was I don't know. And like if you get pulled over, you got to have a copy of the prescription and like a receipt. I don't know.
Yeah,
Who's to say?
I think within the next 5 years, we'll have it. We'll have recreational
And this will be the beers,
across the U.S.
beards, and bud podcast.
Yeah, not
Dude, we
Budweiser.
could just expand.
Yeah, we have.
So
So yeah, the cannabis has been infiltrating the beer world. Like Sam Adams has invested in cannabis drinks and things like that. I don't know that it's infiltrated like the um, spirits or bourbon world yet. Um,
I don't know. I got that. I don't know.
I was like, I've been to a couple of legal dispensaries, just to look around. I always like the names of everything. I'm like in there giggling, and they're like, "Sir, you are we're going to kick you out if you don't stop giggling."
Like the first time you ever went to a porno store.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
you're just like,
Tomorrow.
oh, you haven't been yet?
First-
Yeah, I can remember. This is how backwards Kentucky is, and I would say it's across the river there. But when Hustler Hollywood opened in Lexington,
Yeah.
there was legit people outside filming people going in and out. Like, shame on you.
Oh my goodness.
It's crazy.
Terrible.
But there is
Yeah.
a ton of stuff for us to talk about tonight in the news.
Yep.
The one thing that I saw that really piqued my interest, and it brought back some nostalgic memories,
Yeah.
was Fireball getting sued for selling mini bottles that, spoiler alert, if you've bought Fireball at a gas station, it does not have alcohol in it.
No, it does have alcohol. No whiskey. So it is a malt beverage. So your typical gas station does not have a
It's
license to sell liquor. I don't know if you know that or not.
right. Yes,
So
yes,
they
I do
came
know that.
out with Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey is the original. That's like 33%, so 66 proof. So they expanded and said, "Hey, let's get into the convenience store world. We can sell these little mini bottles." And the first time I ever saw them, I was like, "Wait a second, this has to be not real Fireball." And looked at it and it does say on it like malt liquor with like whiskey flavoring or something like that in it.
We need to do a comparison, a side by side.
But yeah, we can. I hate the taste of Fireball though.
Really? I do not prefer Fireball, but it tastes like liquid Big Red to me.
Yeah, Big Red Gum. Oh, I miss Big
Mhm.
Red Gum. I like Big Red Gum.
It tastes the same.
I want to see if I can find some Big Red Gum.
And, they make so many candles that are Fireball scented.
Really?
Well, most people call it cinnamon, but
Hey, who's got that Fireball candle going?
but
Like, yeah, Angie, why you putting that Fireball flavoring on your oatmeal?
yeah.
But
But
anyway,
this reminds me, do you remember when Red Bull got sued
yes,
because
it
it
doesn't give
didn't
you
give
away.
you wings? Yeah, so
This is more technical than that
I
because that's like,
guess, but
yeah,
still, like, we're splitting hair. Like,
because
the
yeah.
pe
So there's
who
Fireball.
got mad? Who was like,
I'll tell you,
who
Anna
was
Marquez.
7 airplane bottles of Fireball, whatever it's called
And
from the game? I mean, like, you know
or
what? This just ain't hitting the same.
this seems like,
You know what I mean? Like, come on now.
yeah. So there's Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey, and then Fireball Cinnamon. Fireball Cinnamon is what you get in the gas station. Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey
So they
is
just
the real
dropped the
stuff.
whiskey. It just doesn't say
It's
whiskey on
not
it.
whiskey. Yeah. It's a malt beverage, malt
So it's like a
liquor,
Colt 40. It's a cinnamon flavored Colt 45.
yeah, and that says it's 16.5% alcohol, and the whiskey is 33%.
So somebody was out there
Um,
really trying to get drunk off that and like, you know what? I just can't.
yeah, it makes me think too, like the people like I mean, these things have been around for a long time, but the companies that just think they're gonna, try to trick people, eventually it all like there's people out there
You
that
get
that are
got.
look, but there's people out there that are looking to try to find stuff like this to where we can be like, I can sue based on this is false advertising. It's not whiskey,
What would
but it
it take
doesn't
for
say that it
you?
has whiskey in it. It says
What would it
whiskey
take for
flavors.
you to bring litigation against somebody? Like, we talking slip and fall,
Mm,
major medical malpractice,
I don't know. Maybe like a
slander, and
major,
libel?
yeah, bad review at work, something like that. I don't know. No, it would take probably, I don't know, like
Like, for you to
major car
really
accident or
hurt your
something.
feelings.
Hurt my
Okay, let's take
feelings.
something that, like,
If
what would
someone talks shit about
totally
Joe
offend you
Burrow,
where you
I'm
want
gonna
to?
say that right now. You're getting You're getting sued on behalf of Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow may very well be the next Dan Marino. Be really good, but never win a Super Bowl.
I hope not, because then I'll be like, oh, look at that, look at the. I mean, there are.
He's a Jim Kelly, Dan Marino clone.
Because he had Dan Marino had the wide receivers, had the offense all throughout the 80s. Mark Doofy and what was his name? Marx Brothers. Dunphy, right? And then in the 90s, he had O.J. McDuffie. Remember him? And
I do.
who was the other guy that he had? He had two really good wide receivers, but he never had a good running back. He had Terry Kirby was his running back.
Terry Kirby, yeah. I remember Terry Kirby
expansion drafted to the Browns.
Terry Kirby.
He's on NFL Blitz.
Wow, was it NFL Blitz or was it Tecmo Bowl? I can't remember.
He probably was on both.
Yeah.
I just listened to. I finished up the Bo Jackson, which it kind of is like, his early life is fascinating. Then he goes pro, and it's like,
The 30 for 30 was pretty good.
Yeah, but they talked about the Tecmo Bowl, Bo Jackson, where people get like 1,800 yards in one game with him. Gary's getting
Abby's sneaking down the.
Uh-oh. What's she looking for? Some bourbon?
You looking for some bourbon, sweetheart? I'm not drinking bourbon tonight.
This is a bourbon-free show, ladies and gentlemen.
I've got.
Is this your first non-bourbon on the like whiskey that's not bourbon? I drank a whiskey that wasn't a bourbon on the show, but that might have been on Bourbon Notes.
I don't know.
I drank a peanut butter whiskey. Remember when I did that?
You did, yeah.
I got some more of that. It's called Sheepdog.
Sheepdog.
Peanut butter whiskey. It's Sheepdog flavored malt liquor because it's one of the airplane bottles.
That's what I've got.
Actually, whiskey.
So, several episodes back, in a blind tasting, David gave me some TX bourbon.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say I hated it, but it just wasn't my thing. Was it a bad bourbon? No, but it just wasn't my thing. So, we have some friends of the podcast heard that I didn't care for it. And they're like, oh, but the blended whiskey is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, for real? They're like, yeah. And so I was gifted, same as David. I was gifted for those YouTuber.
Is that what's left or
views.
that? Why'd you leave that much in there?
I don't know.
Just pour it all out. Drink your bourbon. Drink your whiskey like a man.
Right.
Get to the last drop.
So this portion of the podcast is brought to you by Rivalry Brews. David's still in dry January. It's the last week. Fingers and toes crossed that he doesn't break over. But Rivalry Brews been ride or die for a while now. You can get 10% off by using code BeersBeards10.
Yep.
And they hook you up with boxes from a bunch of great Ohio breweries. They do they don't ship here, but if I was going to order from them, then our code doesn't count for this, but this is just Uncle Gary telling you what I think you should do. They do some pairings with like beer and charcuterie, and like
snack
food.
boxes.
Yeah, the snack boxes. So go show them support. Check them out on social media. It's Rivalry Brews, wherever you find whatever you're looking at, whether Instagram, Facebook.
And I have an announcement
True
to make
Social.
about Rivalry Brews during my portion.
So this was provided by my friend Clayton.
Shout out to Clayton.
Shout out Clayton. Good
Clayton
dude.
Bigsby.
Clayton. No. Not in this environment, David. As you can see, looks like a bourbon.
Yeah.
Smells like a bourbon. But this is a blended whiskey. Let's look up and see what's in this blended.
So I've talked about this, but I actually read the master distiller. His name is Rob Arnold. I read his book because he's has a doctorate in
mixology
and whatever. something, but he has a book called The Terroir of Whiskey. So he's traveled far and wide to try to find the correct ingredients, and everything is local. The distilleries in the Fort Worth area of Texas, and he said in his book that he thinks that his blended whiskey is better than his bourbon.
All right, so here's the tasting. I normally don't do this, but this is kind of a outlier tasting. The nose, vanilla bean, pear, slightly sweet. Let's hit it. I will co-sign the sweet. I wouldn't know a pear if I don't know what that smells like.
And straight out of the can.
It is. You do get this sweet. I'm not gonna say it's light. I wouldn't go full vanilla, but it is definitely light and sweet.
What's the proof on this? Is it 80?
I don't know. I didn't get the bottle. Let's see. It is 82 proof. Oh, this is, bro. I know I'm gonna love this already. The palate, honey butter, banana, and caramel. Again,
Honey butter biscuit.
honey butter, banana, caramel. 3 ingredients and flavors that are not anywhere associated with the ingredients that go in this.
Yeah.
This won Best Craft Whiskey and Double Gold at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition in 2013.
2013.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
already.
I thought it was new. I thought this was a new thing. This is
They've been around for a little while.
Distilled by Firestone and Robertson. Available most places that you buy your spirits. It does hit good on the nose. David,
Cheers.
salute to you for your last week of dry January. This is TX blended whiskey, courtesy of our main man Clayton. God damn, that's good. It's so soft. Let me say that.
Yeah.
If you're a bourbon drinker and you're used to that, there's no Kentucky hug on this. None.
Really?
That I can not on this hit. I'm gonna hit it again. So the finish, long, smooth, no burn, and that is 1,000% accurate in my opinion.
Long and smooth with no burn.
That's what they used to call me in grade school.
See, I've actually kind of toyed around with I think from the craft side, like craft whiskey, craft bourbon, the blended whiskeys might kind of be the way to go, just because bourbon
start out?
bourbon has so many rules, right? Like you can only, we all know the rules.
Bourbon is a very rigid taste. Period.
Yeah.
Point blank. It's gonna be. It's gonna assault. If you've never had bourbon before, and I told you I was following this guy on TikTok, where he was gonna keep drinking bourbon until he liked it. He didn't like it, so he's gonna keep drinking it until he liked it.
On the same day.
No,
half a bottle in. Oh, that's pretty good. Just okay. Like, was it different bourbons or
he bought Elijah Craig to start with, and he was going to keep drinking it like every day.
Oh, okay, like the same bourbon.
Yeah.
Okay.
How
long did it take him?
He's still trying
it. TBD. But no, the thing, like from the beer side, the craft I think is really the blend, the mixing of the science with the art, and bourbon is so much more heavily on the science side, just because there are very strict rules that you have to follow. Like, I mean, you can only have so many mash bills with at least 51% corn, right? Like a blended whiskey doesn't have to be 51% corn. It can be 10% corn. So I think that from the craft distillery side, the blended whiskeys are really what I think is going to start to, like, in the next maybe few years, where people are like kind of get like, oh, not over, but like the bourbon chasing kind of like runs its course a little bit, and then people are start to discover some of these craft whiskeys, and I've had a few of them. The ones I've had are all really good, and it's because you can have somebody that has that expertise that blends multiple barrels and says, hey, here's the best way, just like you do in bourbon, but here's this actually tastes good, just like they do with like barrel aged beer. they put beer in a bunch of different barrels and then they blend it until it tastes right, like until they have a product that they're happy with. Um, so yeah, I think that obviously bourbon is where a lot of people are focused, and because it does have this like now this prestige, which is interesting because it's the history. If you learn about the history of bourbon, it's not really
No.
about that. It was like the working man's drink, and
Yeah.
seeing the way that it's like kind of become now, and like you were saying, you sent the video of who was it that you sent to me,
E.H. Taylor.
E.H. Taylor, and like and people are like, all these people they revere all these people. It's like he's just a good old boy from Kentucky. He's like,
I drink it with Sprite.
I drink it with Sprite. I put a little bit of Ale-8 in there,
Yeah.
and
That's how you
that's
do
how
it.
I drink it. And that even like Julian Van Winkle says he likes his Pappy Van Winkle with a twist of orange and a little bit of ice.
Yeah, you can't be a purist.
Can you
I mean,
imagine
you can be. But when I had the Knob Creek 140 proof,
Yeah, you need to
you're not
cut
that.
that down.
There's a taste for everybody, and I get that.
Yeah,
But
gasoline.
just drinking it neat, it is like gasoline. Let's go round 2, little
Yeah.
TX. No, still hitting, baby. Still good.
All right. Turning Gary into a blended whiskey drinker.
Next week, Crown Royal.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the distinction between, or at least the thought, like, hey, I know you didn't like the TX bourbon, but the blended whiskey, I think you'll find. And
That's
salute.
good. I like that feedback.
Yeah, like that's somebody that gets me. And at 82 proof, I mean, who's to say?
Yeah. So I'm gonna drink some beer now. This is the final week of Rivalry Brews, Gary, and I mentioned I have an announcement. My announcement is that I'm getting some Rivalry Brews sent to me. But that's not the real
I'm getting
announcement.
92 cans sent to me.
No, I told Adam I was messaging with or texting with him and said, "Hey, I need a refill for after dry January. I gotta hit you up." He said, "Okay," and I said, "Okay, we're gonna do a giveaway as well of a
Okay.
free 6-pack to celebrate the end of dry January. We're gonna have that up on Instagram, and if you send us the code Wet February, you can get 10 extra entries into our contest.
What's the code again?
Wet February.
Wet February.
Yes.
Not to be confused with what's after February? Messy March.
Moist March.
A lot of people don't like that word. Are there any
I love
words
it.
that
No,
you
I love all the
just
words. No.
there's nothing in the
I'm sure there is. I have to think about it.
Okay.
But anyway, rivalrybrews.com. They've been such a great sponsor of us. And even through dry January, they're supporting us.
Yeah, they're ready to
Um,
they're ready to recoup
move on to
their
February.
money from David.
But yeah, the code BeersBeards10, you can get 10% off your mixed 6-pack or 12-pack or 13-pack, how many ever you want. But go on our Instagram, get a chance to win a free 6-pack from us, courtesy of Rivalry Brews. We'll
Yep.
tell you how to do it. And if you send the code Wet February, get an extra 10 entries into the contest. So
And this is this is crazy to me. Is we're pretty consistent on Instagram, but when you go to give away some shit and people are all over it.
yeah, all of a sudden we have a lot more friends.
Let me ask you this: as you're pouring your beer, what would it take if it wasn't for Facebook Messenger? I would probably just delete Facebook.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to it because I think you can have just Messenger, right?
I've not looked into it that far, but like if I died today and somebody was just going to go through my Facebook history, it ain't cool. It's all meme pages, dark humor, very little interaction. Like it's very little. It's promoting podcast.
That's pretty much
not.
yeah.
It's not a glimpse into my life. I'm not an overshare. I'm more of a voyeur. But I can remember doing other podcasts. I remember doing our first live podcast with you in my house, upstairs, setting up the camera. Like it was kind of revolutionary at the time. And so many people joined, and we were like,
Yeah.
wow. And now you got to pay for that engagement.
Yeah.
Did you read the
That's
article? I sent David an article about Spotify. They had all the tech companies are having mass layoffs. And they're talking about there's now in this day and age, there may be more podcasts than podcast listeners.
That's funny. I did not read that, but that's yeah.
Yeah.
It's like going
And
the way of blogs, right? Like blogs were big, and then we were like fairly like early adopters of blogs and writing and like
yeah.
um, and then we hung on way too long.
Yeah. And then, well, I don't even know what that looks like now. Like, and I know you're not a fan, but I think the pinnacle of that game that has adapted and moved in the content creation space has been Barstool Sports. Like what they do or not,
Yeah,
I mean, they just sold for $100 million.
I mean they figured
I'm
it
sorry,
out.
more than
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
they
Now, of
figured
course,
it out.
they had to attach that to gambling. I could still be making money right now embedding sneaky links of offsite
I said
casinos into articles.
if we still had our website, we'd be making bank off of selling
Yeah,
but those
gambling.
buy articles, gambling articles to
Um,
to these people in
tell us about your beer. Then I want you
wherever.
to talk about the breweries that are
Yeah.
taking advantage of that. So
Yeah, so that
tell us
yeah.
about your beer.
So this week, Gary, is a I didn't even know that this existed. I went to the store and saw it and I was like, "Oh, I got to get that." So it is a non-alcoholic version of one of my favorite beers, and actually a beer that I've had on the show before. Um,
Coors
Deschutes
Light,
Brewery makes Black Butte Porter, which is the number one selling porter in the country. And
not to
if
be
you remember,
confused with Black Butte Porter.
yes, Butte Black Buddy Porter. But if you remember, this was my first beer that I had during Flagship February
Yeah,
last year in 2022.
yeah,
One of my favorite beers of all time. Just a great dark beer. And is the most popular number one selling porter in the country. So here's the canned non-alcoholic version of it. Um,
very very chill
they're out
can.
of
Not a lot going on.
Bend, Oregon. But yeah, they made I guess a non-alcoholic version of their most popular beer, which is that's tough because you're like, hey, this beer has to carry the name of this of like our flagship number one beer, our big money maker. And I mean, you know that if a brewery that's that size that's going to put out a non-alcoholic beer um, with that name on it, I mean, because they could have named it something else, right? Like they could have just named it non-alcoholic porter. Um,
Ain't no
yeah.
alcohol in this.
So, but it pours very dark. It looks like beer, smells like beer, nice uh, malty nose, very very low hop profile. This is one Gary would at least like the nose of.
Think so?
Hmm. And it hits it pretty close. This is definitely up there of one of the better ones. I found that the dark non-alcoholic beers I think I like better. The IPA versions are not they don't hold up to regular IPAs. And I asked my brewing expert friend why that is, and he said because most people use heat to remove the alcohol, and when you add heat to it, it kills the hop, like the
Oh,
hop character in the beer.
okay.
So a beer that's less hoppy is going to be better in a non-alcoholic version than a hoppy beer. Um, as a rule of thumb, not saying that there can't be a good hoppy. There's other ways that they can remove the alcohol from beer, but that's the most common is adding heat um, to it and just evaporating the alcohol off. But anyway, yeah, the Shoots Black Butte non-alcoholic porter. It's I mean it's good. Um, I will say one of the things that has gotten me through dry January has been the fact that there are a lot more good non-alcoholic beers. I haven't had a ton. Um, it's not like I'm drinking every single day, which I don't do that in general anyway. But I did want to give a shout out because I have a ton. I got a whole B load of non-alcoholic beers from my buddy at Adina Distributing, Mike Amon, and we're gonna go do a show there in his warehouse at some point in the near future. We're gonna take him some bourbon. He's gonna provide the beer for the show. So we're gonna have a fun show there. But he gave me a bunch of stuff from Untitled Art, which they produce a really good their non-alcoholic IPAs are probably the best thing going out there. But yeah, so in the state of Ohio, Gary, I mean, if you're in Ohio right now, you're getting bombarded with sports betting ads, apps, commercials. It's kind of ridiculous.
Billboards.
And now, not as many. I've maybe seen a couple billboards,
Are
mostly social
billboards
media ads.
still a viable means of advertisement?
I mean, I
I go
guess.
back to Gary Vaynerchuk, who I don't know. I know our buddy Juan is a big proponent of Gary
Yeah,
Vaynerchuk, but for me, I remember listening to a keynote speech probably 2015, 14, 15, where he was talking about billboards and how people didn't need to spend money. He said, if you're driving down the road, he said, look to your left, look to your right. He said 3 out of 4 people are on their phones. He said nobody's looking at billboards. They're
driving.
not even looking at the fucking road, you
That's true.
know? So
That is
that's
so
always stuck in
true.
my head about billboards. But vividly, and David can attest to this, he drove by it a bunch. I remember going to David's house once, and there was a huge billboard for it was like breast
Breast augmentation.
yeah, it was like a bargain breast implant
Yeah, they still have it,
billboard,
but they moved it a little down the street now.
and
They,
it did not really motivate me to want to get my breast done.
yeah, messed up my headphones. I don't know what I did.
I don't
Oh,
know.
they feel weird. Yeah, now there's a La Rosa's Pizza billboard in that spot.
Viva la raza!
But yeah, so what did I do? Anyway,
Rheingeist and Taft are adding sportsbook partners. Does that mean
yes,
like you're gonna be able to sit like pony up at the tap
yeah.
room and be like,
So
"Hey, let me put 15 on the Reds to lose tonight."
which is a good bet.
Yeah, I steer
Um,
you. I tell you no lies.
but I figure I was wondering how long it would take for like breweries to have some sort of partnership with sportsbook. So
I mean, we're
Rheingeist
talking
and
about a bazillion-dollar industry in the
yeah,
sports betting world.
yeah. So Rheingeist and Tafts have both added sportsbook partners, and they've both done it in kind of a different way. So Rheingeist has I mean, first of all, their tap room is huge, but they took a little nook of it and they partnered with Tipico to create the Tipico Sports Deck. And they don't have like live betting machines there, but I'm sure that they have like, whatever QR codes, download our app because Tipico is has the app. And
Okay,
they have like a sports watching
they
area.
like Tampico, the off-brand orange juice.
Yeah. And it's the same company. But then Taft's, which is right down the street from there, they're in an old church, and in the basement used to be, I think it was called Nellie's bar. They converted that into a sports book
And now it's just
with
Nelly's and the Saint Lunatics.
super super book sports, and also partner with FC Cincinnati, which is our local MLS soccer team, and they do have live sports betting machines there in their they have kiosks um, that you can bet from. So yeah, I mean, breweries getting into the fun with sports betting in the state of Ohio. So
You
it's
say getting into the fun, they're getting into the bag.
into the money.
It ain't
Yeah,
it's for the money.
yeah, um, yeah. I thought it was, and yeah, I mean, every year, Gary, we see. I think that I'm really curious to see what the gambling looks like on the Super Bowl this year, especially if the Bengals go to the Super Bowl. Like, what does that? How does that affect? Like, and specifically in Ohio, what amount of money is bet on on the Super Bowl? But every year, Gary, we talked last week about the Miller Light and the Coors Light going head to head. Exactly, Saint
Nelly's
Lunatics.
basement. Yeah,
We could
this
probably
is
get
interesting to me because and as an analyst and as a fellow analyst in two
yeah,
different cultures, I feel like in this day and age, the commercials of the Super Bowl, one, it has become like a celebrated thing. Like you watch the commercials to see what's. I personally, for me, really only care about the movies. Like I'm pumped about the movies that are coming out.
Yeah, Ant-Man.
And
It's
yeah,
gonna be Ant-Man.
Quantumania. But for the most part, during the commercials, I'm getting something else to eat, something to drink. We're talking. It's this day and age where it's basically a commercial free experience in however you consume television. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, is that value still there
I
for
love
Super Bowl
commercials.
commercials? Listen, I've got a 5-year-old son who has no fucking clue what
What a commercial
commercials
is.
are. Like when he's watching YouTube on our TV and
Skip
he
ad.
doesn't skip, dad, skip.
It's like, can't skip it. Sorry. Like, no, still, you gotta skip it. Even if you can't, you gotta figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
But I love ads because I probably said this before, but they do the shopping for you. Like, if you're watching what you're supposed to be watching, then buy the things they tell you to buy, and you should be good to go.
No, you have to fucking woo me. You
Yeah,
have to
I was watching
really.
Jeopardy though, and I was like, they had a commercial for garlic, and I'm like, do I need garlic?
Is that some kind of garlic supplement?
Yeah, garlic supplement. do I
You
have
don't.
a
You
do I
really
have
don't need garlic.
osteoporosis?
If you have osteoporosis, you're guaranteed with garlic to have halitosis,
Yeah,
which is bad breath.
exactly.
I don't know, but like, what's the last commercial
The last commercial.
that you saw that you're like, fuck, I gotta buy that?
Hmm,
I'll
I
tell
don't
you, it's
know.
probably not been in the
It's
last
all subliminal
15 years.
stuff. The
Not
whole
for me.
marketing stuff is very subliminal. Like, you don't think that it affects you, but then it actually does.
The last beer commercial, and we're going to talk about the beer commercials that
Yeah,
you had the Budweiser Frogs,
yeah.
and you've always got the
Spud
Clydesdales.
McKenzie.
But the last thing I really saw that I was like, you know what, I want to try because of the Super Bowl. It wasn't anything. It was platinum.
Bud Light Platinum.
Yeah. Was it Bud Light? Or I thought it was just.
I think it's Bud Light Platinum.
I don't know. But that was the last thing that I remember. I was like, you know what? Let me give platinum a shot.
I remember.
Turns out garbage.
I remember last year. Guy Fieri was in the Bud Light Seltzer commercial, and he was in like four. He was in commercials for like four different brands. It must have been the year of Guy Fieri. Like, he must have a really high. Like, no one. He's like the kind of like the Nickelback of the Food Network. Like, everyone's like claims to hate him, but then also no one turns off his shows when they're on.
Mhm.
Just like no one turns off Nickelback. I caught myself today, Gary. Nickelback came on the radio. I
Mhm.
turned it up. I was like, "Oh God, what did I do?"
Burn it to the ground
No,
tonight.
this was the original. This is how you remind me.
This is how you remind me of what I really. Dude, that's a banger. You can't not
Yeah,
tell me that's a banger. We gotta
it
go
is a
to it.
banger. But so I'll tell you about the here. Give me a music bed of of some Nickelback. I'll talk. So this year, Bud Light and Budweiser are getting makeovers at this year's Super Bowl. Anheuser-Busch is featuring Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, and Busch Light this year. Versus last year, they featured Bud Light Seltzer and Bud Light Next.
If
The
now I'm convinced if Nickelback is not in a fucking Super Bowl commercial or not doing the Super Bowl halftime show,
yeah,
I'm gonna boycott.
they would be a great Nickelback and Creed mashup. The Creed reunion.
Creed's teasing a new tour.
Are they?
It's
Well,
not
Scott
like
Stapp is
you.
playing in some tiny little
Bogarts.
festival in Wilmington, Ohio this summer, and I can't go. My friends didn't want to go with me.
I'll go with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen.
Can you
Say what you want
take
about Nickelback.
me higher?
Nickelback slaps. Nickelback is you. I think people didn't like it because of how fast and how popular they got, but their music's solid. We talked about that. How many streams has that song gotten?
I
Just
would
on
say 800 million. Like
you're
just
very
on Spotify.
716 million. All
Yeah.
right.
So
Their
okay.
top nothing is under 180 million in their top 5.
So you have to listen to one band for the rest of your life, and you only get 2 choices. One's
Okay.
Nickelback, the other one is Creed. Who do you pick?
Yeah, Creed.
But no Alter Bridge, only Creed. I think they only have like
Right.
2
That's
albums.
like you're looking at Scott Stapp and the difference between the lead singer of Alter Bridge and Creed is the pitch of their voice. The guy from Alter Bridge is much higher pitch.
Yeah. What's the name of the guy from? What's the guitarist that
Mark Ronson,
yeah that
Bert
Bert Kreischer
Kreischer.
kicked out of his band?
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, so this year, as I mentioned, Bud Light, Michelob Ultra, and Busch Light. The Bud Light ad, it says, will usher in a new era of the brand. Michelob Ultra will focus on health-conscious customers, and Mich Ultra is set to this. This was the. I feel like they buried the lead in this article, Gary.
Yeah,
Michelob Ultra is set to soon overtake Bud Light for the number 1 Anheuser-Busch.
for sure. Is it? Don't you ever? It's not like it's not. I'm barely even turning the mixer knob up.
Can we meet again?
That's. It's been a while. Where should we begin?
I love all of the. I was writing a song. That
You were writing a song?
Yeah, I was trying to write a song that I was wanting to make it in the form of Creed or in the style of Creed, but I wanted it to not be able to you to not be able to tell whether it was about like praising Jesus or giving someone a blowjob.
Have you seen the episode of South Park where they do the boy band and it's just like they just add Jesus to the lyrics?
No. The boy
Pretty
band
good.
episode of The Simpsons is really good.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of the band? I know the name of the song is Even at Niage. What's the band that Bart joins?
I don't know.
Anyway, back to this story.
Back to the lecture at hand.
And Busch Light will be featured for the first time since 2017. Busch Light has found its
That
niche
doesn't
in
seem
marketing
right.
to outdoorsy drinkers.
Outdoorsy drinkers. No, that's not.
No, it's
you need to get a marketing job with.
It's people that are
Budweiser.
It's
Anheuser-Busch,
not
hire
outdoorsy.
David. It's not outdoorsy. It's
Busch
very.
Light people are the people that I know that drink Busch Light are people that just want to get drunk.
Remember when
They
when
say,
they
"I
were
wanna just
offering the piss
be able to
jug?
drink
What
all
were they
day."
offering? Remember we talked about it was a piss jug, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, it was you can turn your can into a
Piss
like
jug.
yeah,
I don't know.
it's like a funnel.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. It was a funnel.
Yeah, so you can pee into your can because they're saying it's not good it's not healthy to pee on trees. But anyway, so the thing that to me this year, I feel like this is like the safe year. Like last year, they kind of went out and were like, "Oh, they'll do seltzer, we'll do Bud Light next." Both of those seem
Where's
like they
Bud Light next at?
they.
Where's it in the
I
ranking?
bought some last year. It was it tastes like beer flavored seltzer. It's terrible. But I feel like this year is the year they're going safe, like going back to the roots. Like, hey, we're gonna just promote our brands that are tried and true, and yeah. So the other ads, Gary,
Uh-huh.
Heineken is doing an ad. We were talking about Miller and Miller Lite, Coors Light.
Uh-huh.
Heineken will spotlight its non-alcoholic beer in an ad featuring Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. And for the first time ever, liquor spirits will be featured in ads on the Super Bowl. Crown Royal, which is the official, I think, spirit of the NFL, and Remy Martin Cognac will get ads. So be on the lookout for those. We'll have a full review, a full 60-minute podcast just on breakdown of the Super Bowl ads. That's going to be a special. You gotta subscribe to Beers and Beards Plus to get
the best beer commercial ever.
Hello? Ooh, what's up?
Was that?
Nothing, B. Just watching the game, having a bud. What's up with you? Nothing. Watching the game, having a bud. True. What's up? What's up? Yo, who's that? Yo, pick up the phone. Hello? What's that?
That's classic.
Oh,
I remember
That's-
that one.
Yo, Duke.
I
Oh.
remember the Budweiser Frogs
Yo.
being
What's
very,
that?
in my formative years. There was one other one that I don't know. Anyway, what else, Gary? Oh, North Carolina Distillery is preparing to blast barrels of bourbon into outer space for aging. Did you see that? What do you think? You're on mute. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a professional podcast. Nope. Mystic Galactic Bourbon, North Carolina Distillery. Mystic Farm and Distillery in Durham, North Carolina is preparing to rocket barrels of bourbon into outer space for aging, creating what it believes will be the rarest spirit ever produced, according to ABC 11.
We've had beer from outer space.
The distillery plans to work with companies such as Elon Musk, SpaceX, Inversion Space, and Bank of America to finance, design, and test and build vessels to send 5 barrels of whiskey to low Earth orbit for a year of secondary aging per ABC 11.
What was the beer we
When
had
you're
from
not
outer
learning
space?
It's from Sam Adams.
Astronaut food.
Oh yeah, the astronaut food. That
Yeah.
wasn't outer space. That was just a
But
like
some of the
dehydrated
ingredients.
fruit.
Listen, we're
The
getting
beer
way,
the-
we're distilling, we're aging shit in the ocean, outer
Yeah.
space. What's left? We're going to bury the motherfucker, and you know what I mean? Like, come on
Yeah.
now.
These gimmicks.
You
I
don't
feel like
need a
this is a
gimmick
craft
for a
beer
good. You're
gimmick.
right. Right.
Like yeah, they're yeah.
Make a
I'm
good
gonna put
bourbon.
it
People are going to buy it. Period.
if it is in outer space.
It's not, I don't listen. I don't give a shit about outer space. But do you guys bourbon?
No, I don't. All right, couple more stories, and then we got the fun one.
Okay.
Would you drink a chili cheese brew, Gary?
Would absolutely not give a
Modest
shit about
Brewing?
chili cheese brew. No,
Which I don't even know where Modest Brewing is.
that's over in Modest, Wisconsin.
Minnesota.
Close.
They did a beer collaboration with Hormel Chili. Added
This sounds gross, bro.
cheese and Hormel chili spices into a lager, and it's actually pretty tasty. It says, according to the press release.
I was gonna say did they pay you to read this article?
No, you can order it online. $12 per 4-pack, a limit of 2. But yeah, I guess you got to be in Minnesota.
Vikings fans. They
You can not local. You can snatch some at HormelChiliCheeseBrew.com. The friendly 4-packs are available for $24, $12 plus shipping and handling, which includes
crazy.
shipping and handling.
The one I found interesting is the
They'll be ready
name
before the big game.
of Martha Stewart's. It's wine, right?
Yeah, that's the brand though, right? The brand. You never heard of that brand of wine? 19 Crimes.
Is that what she got convicted for?
That's the that's the Snoop Dogg wine.
I thought he had the death row wine.
He's on it's 19 Crimes, Snoop Dogg. Yeah. And hers is called Martha's Lighter Shard. I guess it's Chardonnay.
That obviously.
She's really leaned into the being a convict thing, I think. She carries it well.
Baby.
It's 8.5% ABV and 80 calories per glass. It looks like this comes in like cans, which is kind of cool. Wine in a can.
Sounds awful.
But it says $14.99 per 750 milliliter bottle, but then the box looks like it's a can, like a box, like a 4-pack of cans. I don't know. I'll follow up on that. And then I think that's it. We got one more story.
Hit us with the bit. Listen, I loved watching the highlights.
You
of this.
did?
Yeah, no, like as somebody who likes morbid shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's no way a sane human being could watch this and be like, you know what? Is it entertaining? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it something that probably existed
Uh,
in Russia in 1958? Yes, also.
So
But go ahead.
the reason why we're talking about this is because Las Vegas Brewing Company became the official uh, marketing partner of Power Slap. They're going to be
Make you
the
slap your mama.
Power Slap Road to the Title. I guess they have a reality series based around this, like the Ultimate Fighter, Ultimate Slapper. They should have named it that. Like they need me as a marketing guy, Ultimate Slapper.
Dude,
But anyway,
if
Power
you
Slap.
just go on YouTube and look up the highlights.
Yeah,
There's the one that I've seen 1,000 times. It was two women. The woman
nice.
gets hit. The ref catches her. She tries to stand up, does a somersault, like completely out of it.
Pops back up.
When you say ultimate slap league, it looks like, all right, imagine this. David and I are looking across from each other. You would think arm wrestling. No, they have their hands behind their back. One person has a hand behind their back. The other person warming up with the slap and then slaps the Holy Spirit out of the other person. Now,
They wear like earplugs.
yeah, that I saw. Who was it? Oh, Spicer, is that his name? Eric Spicer. Eric Spicely.
Yeah,
He got offered
$2,000.
$2,000 to get the shit slapped out of him. Now listen, there's a lot of stuff I do for money. $20 is $20. You know what I'm saying? But
Not by some of these people
but not for my brain to jar around inside my head.
So I first became aware of this at like. Have you been to the Arnold Sports Festival?
Mm-hmm.
So the main expo, and they got whatever people powerlifting, people doing
It's
shooting
just
up
one big protein
steroids
fart
there.
in there.
And it's a convention, and it's loud. And I remember being at the convention, and they had that on the main stage. You could literally hear the slap
Oh my god, dude!
across the convention
I'm not
hall
saying
at the
I'm
Arnold.
too
That's the
good to
first.
watch
This was
it.
no, this was before. It was before 2020 because I haven't been since then. So this has been around. If you're OG slap fan, and we when the $2,000 thing came out, of course everyone's like up in arms, like, oh my god, I can't believe that they would only pay $2,000. Like we're in and the reason why this is like closely related to the MMA community is because Dana White is the
Yeah,
founder of
and
co-founder or whatever,
he got it sanctioned,
sanctioned, and it's
sanctioned
on.
just like pro wrestling, just like MMA, just
Ohio
like
sanctioned it too for during the Arnold.
wow,
Um,
wow. Listen,
but
like I said, I will consume it. That does not mean that is not an endorsement of of the
Yeah.
sport. It's like a car wreck. You
Yeah.
just gotta like if it's on TBS, they really went in the shitter. I mean, it's probably sandwiched between How
It's
I
on
Met Your
after
Mother
AEW.
and Seinfeld
It's
reruns.
like Big Bang Theory, AEW, and then Power Slap.
Yeah.
But I lost my train of thought. So yeah, people were up in arms about the $2,000 thing, and Ben Folks, who is OG MMA,
He's
their
a
co-main event podcast,
Yep.
been around forever, one of the best writers, and I mean, actually good writer and great journalist. But he was saying like, man, you guys are surprised that these people that are investing in this are going to try to pay the lowest amount to people that they possibly can. Like, do you think that these people are in it for like the love of the sport, the love of the
the
slap?
love of slapping.
I was like, I need a T-shirt that
Abby said
is
she
Power Slap for the love of slap.
she said she slapped me in 6th grade for my unkind comments to her original power slap.
Yeah, you guys are like the Forrest Gump and Jenny story. That's
Did
like your
Abby
love
catch
story.
AIDS? What happened? More am
It's
I
like your
missing out
love
here?
story.
Oh,
You're like she's like, My son's name's Gary. Oh, he got a daddy named Gary too.
Okay, I'm going to end on this.
Best line of the whole movie.
I have adamantly been a shit talker to David for as long as I can remember about most of his hobbies. But running really struck a nerve with me. Paying for 5Ks and triathlons and trying to be the best at exercising. I have a confession. I too have started running.
You got the
Now the
Did you
weather's
get a
not
runner's
good.
high yet?
Bro, I don't see how you do it. I did 2 miles.
Yeah.
I was so bored. I pulled up the Punisher, the Marvel Punisher series.
You were watching it while you were on a treadmill.
I was on, yeah, the weather's been too
Okay, yeah,
bad here.
treadmill is terrible.
Yeah. So I'm waiting for the weather to break to really get my
This is when
feet
you really
in.
build your doing it. Well, I don't know if I want to be would want to be a brand new runner and try to run outside in the cold, but I ran last night. It was like misty, like 35 degrees, and in the dark. I go with a running club on uh, during the week, and then did 5
That's
miles, and I
something
was like,
you'll
man, it's
never
such a
catch me in.
nasty.
I will never be in a damn running club.
I'm actually a pace group leader, Gary.
Bro, I bet you
So
was
we're
a
gonna
hall
do. I
monitor.
told
I bet you were.
you. Yeah, I was a hall monitor. I actually still am.
I don't know.
So
Not my jam.
I told you, Gary, if you do either the half marathon or full marathon, I'll do the Disney one with you. And Angie got mad at me for saying that I would do it with you, and I didn't say I would do it with her. So you're gonna make me pay for
What?
this.
Angela.
I mean, she can do it too. I just
Yeah.
want she can do it, independently of us. We're just gonna be running. We're gonna be tethered together. Me and you.
So, do you know? I'm sure you do. What sweeping during a marathon is?
No.
So, in the Disney marathon, I think you have 7 hours to complete it.
Oh, the people at the end.
No, so there's these people that run at a 12 or 13-minute mile pace
Mm-hmm.
throughout the whole marathon. If they pass you, you're done. You're out.
Oh,
They come pick you up in a bus and take you away.
and put you on Space Mountain.
So, Splash Mountain's closed?
No.
Or it's up for refurbishment? Yeah, people are up in arms, dude. I don't understand. I don't want to be a Disney adult. Like Splash Mountain. I can't remember the old movie that nobody watches now, but it had some very racist themes to it and whatever.
Did it?
Sound
of Music?
No.
That's about a Nazi, right?
I don't know. Let's see. Splash Mountain theme. Splash Mountain movie. Splash Mountain was based on the movie The Song of the South. That should say all you need to know.
It was based on
Yeah, so controversy around the ride based on the 1946 film Song of the South.
Oh man, that's a different time. Come on.
Yeah. So anyway, they're retheming it to Princess and the Frog.
Until
And
that
people are just, up in arms about it. So, but you know who doesn't care?
Gary.
Me. But we'll see. Anyway, it's the weekend is upon us. This is the last week of dry January. Drunk cast coming soon with David. Like I just want to be pounding beers from the time the podcast, like beer shot, shot beer.
Yeah.
Edible. We'll see. We'll talk. In our next production meeting, we'll bring it up. But if you're just tuning in, if you've tuned in the whole time, you can now catch the podcast on YouTube.com. You can follow us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Go over to Instagram. What's the code again, David?
Wet February.
Wet February. You get 10 extra entries into a Rivalry Brews giveaway. More on that coming there. Our Instagram is Beers Beards Podcast. BeersBeardsPod.com. Buy you some merch if you so feel inclined. You can be a member of of Beers and Beards Plus.
Which I don't even think I have that on there. I need to put that on the website.
Yeah.
No wonder we
yeah,
haven't gotten any.
it don't matter.
We
We're
just
here.
do this for fun.
We're here.
We just do this for the love of the pod, love of the slap.
It's our show. It's just for the love of the slap, baby. Come back next week. We'll talk about, I don't know.
Beer. I already got my beer picked out for next week, Gary.
The day we record next week will not be. It'll still be in January.
That'll be February's Wednesday, February 1st.
I thought February 1st was Friday.
No, Wednesday.
Hold on. You're right. I shouldn't have questioned you. My apologies. Well,
So, wet February coming at you.
yeah.
Drink anything that's wet. You put anything that's wet in your mouth. Let's just say that.
Next week, listen to all the Creed and Nick get in your life. It'll make you a better person.
That's right.
Allegedly. For David, I'm Gary. Peace.